Welcome to Look Behind the Look, the new podcast that examines iconic looks in film, television, music, and fashion history. I'm your host, Tiffany Bartok. Hi everyone, welcome to Look Behind the Look. I'm your host, Tiffany Bartok, and this is my Nadia Stacey episode. Nadia Stacey, as you know, is the hair and makeup designer behind the incredible Cruella. She's already a BAFTA winner for her work on The Favorite, and she's an Oscar nominee this year for her stunning work on Cruella. I've been trying for nearly a year to pin Nadia down for an interview, and I finally caught her the day after she received her Oscar nomination. Super exciting. There's already tons of press on all her intricate work on this film, and you will find no shortage of tutorials, copycat makeups, articles explaining in depth how she conceived these original and epic looks. But I would not be me if I didn't prod Nadia for her origin story and completely fan out on her and ask her how all the success of Cruella, and specifically her contributions to it, have affected her life. So listen, enjoy, and I hope you'll watch the Oscars. Remember, this year they are not presenting the Hair and Makeup Award and many more on television. This is truly terrible. I hope you've used your platforms and your voice to really get the word out that this is happening. Maybe they will change their minds for next year. We can only hope. They're doing some really weird stuff with the Oscars and getting rid of what we've known to be the only opportunity that some of these crafts are honored on television. And it's really sad for people who this will be the first time that they won't be able to have a televised win in their lives. So that's been taken away. It's very sad. And the hashtag that everybody's using is hashtag #PresentAll23 to sort of bring awareness to the fact that this is happening, so maybe they can change it next year. So that being said, we know we're all going to be watching the Oscars. I hope you're all caught up on all the films and you're ready to root for your favorites, and I will be here after it's over. Nadia, I'm so excited to welcome you today because yesterday you found out that you're nominated for an Oscar, and and I'm taking, I am not surprised in the least. When they announced that Cruella was going to be Punk, I think everybody was like chomping at the bit to see first looks. And so when those first looks were released, I started following you immediately. I have been begging poor Marilyn to get you on this show forever. And good things take time, because this has worked out perfectly, because now I get to call you Oscar nominee officially. So it all worked out.
So that's great.
Oh, I'm so excited for you. It's so well deserved. And I can't wait to dig into everything. I don't even know where to begin, because by now there's been so much press about, your looks, because everybody feverishly wanted to know how you did this. So that's all really available and everything. I just wanted to have you say it to me, because I I want to know certain things for sure, like how you came to this project. And you're going to have to go back into your archive, because I know you've had many projects since Cruella, but I just want to hear how it all began.
Well, I had an existing relationship with Emily. We'd worked together before on The Favorite, and so we'd stayed in touch from that. And I don't remember if I knew about Cruella or not. I don't think I did. But I'd been offered something else that was great, actually. It was a TV show here, and it was really good. And I kind of said yes on the Friday, and then on the Saturday night I was at home and my phone rang. I was making dinner, and it was Emily, and she said, "Do you want to do Cruella?" And I was like, "Oh no, I've just said yes to something." It was like, it's agonizing. I mean, immediately, of course, I was like, "Yes, I have to do this."
You have to.
And I didn't really know what I was letting myself in for, or what it was, because when you think of it immediately, you go to the film that you knew, the Glenn Close version that you knew. So I didn't know how we were doing that, and if it was going to be in the same kind of vein as that or not. And then I hadn't read a script. I hadn't met anyone. I hadn't done anything. I just had the job.
Did she tell you that Craig was directing? Craig
I
Gillespie?
found out shortly afterwards. She was like, "Oh, I'll get someone to send you details," and then found out it was him. And I loved Lars and the Real Girl, so it was I loved. And I was kind of surprised because I thought, oh, this is like, even at that point, I thought that's a curveball choice for Disney for Cruella.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, he's kind of known for such offbeat things. And so I guess at that point I started to get a hint that maybe this wasn't going to be sugar sweet Disney.
Yeah,
it was going to be something different. But I had no clue.
Really? You didn't know about the punk or anything? You knew it was an origin story up?
I knew it was an origin story, and then I found out that it was going to be, you know, they said, oh, it's going to be kind of quite punk, and she lives in it's 1977, but you hear that a lot, and a lot. What happens a lot on projects is they go, oh, it's going to be this, and you think, oh, amazing, and then it kind of waters down because studios get involved and they have to kind of cater for the fans, and they have to cater for, you know, make sure that they're covering everything they need. And so it tends to get watered down, and it just never did.
There's lots of, is it too much meetings usually, right?
Yeah, but you know what? I also kind of thought that I was going to have lots of those with Disney, and it kind of didn't happen. I mean, our producer, Kristen Burr, it was kind of her baby for a long time. She wanted to make it for a long time, and she is an absolute fashionista. She comes to set dressed better than anybody. She was just amazing. So, and she just kind of had faith from the beginning in everything I was doing. So they just let me run with it, really.
Oh my gosh, thank God, because the result was just incredible. How many looks, do you even know how many looks you did?
Do you know what? I can't even remember. I mean, it always circles around kind of about 4 or 5 are the ones that you talk about a lot. But there were so many, because when I was putting together, we had to put the clip together for the Bake Off for the Academy. You have to put a 7-minute clip together.
Wait, I didn't know that it's called the Bake Off. What is that?
They call it the Bake Off. So you have to put a 7-minute clip together of your work to showcase your work, which is really hard if you look at a film like Cruella over 2 hours, and you've got to put 7 minutes worth of showcase hair and makeup.
Wow.
And then they interview you, and then that goes out to Academy voters. So then they watch you kind of promote yourself, basically.
And in this interview, do you say all the hard stuff? Like, you know, I bejeweled painstakingly one by one on her face. Is that what you talk about, the crafting?
Do you know what? There was some set questions for it, and when I looked at it, we didn't do any of that kind of, oh, you know, we couldn't get the wigs, and we didn't do this, and this took too much, and because we just had so much fun. And I think now you kind of forget how hard things were.
Oh, it's like having a baby. Yeah,
totally. Now we're just in the phase of like, oh, it's really cute and lovely. So we just kept talking about how much fun we had, and we did. So I think, you know, that really came across in the clips. But.
Absolutely. I mean, tell me about what was the first moment where you and Emma looked into the mirror and you were like, holy Cruella, this is it? What was that look?
So we hadn't got her for a long time because she broke her shoulder at a Spice Girls gig. She went to a Spice Girls gig and slipped and broke her shoulder. And we weren't far from meaning to, we were supposed to get her and then start all the tests and that kind of thing. And then suddenly they said, we don't know what's going to happen because we can't, you know, she can't do these stunts and she can't. Sure. And so we were kind of on hiatus not on hiatus, sorry. We were kind of on, we carried on working for another 6 weeks, but just carried on prepping. Okay. And looking back, thank goodness that, because we needed that time. So but the anticipation of that was that I had all this stuff, I had all these images, I had all these ideas, I had all these mood boards and the wigs and everything, but it wasn't on her. So you can talk the talk for a long time, but until people see it. So when we got her and got her in the chair for the first time and we did the makeup and put on the wig, it was kind of amazing. she picked up a makeup brush and like pretended to smoke with the makeup brush, and just her voice changed and her just whole demeanor changed, and it was amazing. And I've got this shot of her just sultry down the camera, and I sent it to Craig and the producers, and they were like, oh my God. So that we knew, like, okay,
get on board. Yeah,
it was amazing because it was the most heightened version of that kind of classic. It was very punk. It was really, really dark, angled eyes, and so to the fact that they went, oh my God, at that point I thought, oh, okay.
Yeah. So did you go as far as you wanted to, and then in case they wanted you to pull back, and then that was okay.
I thought from the beginning, let's go big or go home, kind of. and then
indeed
they can always, because if you sort of, I tend to do that, because then you can come back. But
yeah. Now you did wigs and makeup, which I can't even. How did you do this? How are you talking to me right now? Why are you alive? How did you do this?
It never really happens. I mean, it's different in the UK because we do both as well. So you don't have.
That's what I was wondering. Okay.
Yeah. So we always do both.
But
running a department like that, I never look after the lead because it's too much. You just can't do that.
Right.
We had 6,000 supporting artists. So to design those looks as well as
how many?
Over 6,000 supporting artists and over 75 main cast. I mean, it was just epic. And so I never ever look after the lead because you've got to be on set looking after them. But it's Emily, and so I kind of have to. And so I don't know. I felt at the end of it, I was on my knees. I felt like if they said we're doing one more day, I thought, no, I can't. I just got nothing left to give you.
Right. I mean, I admire your stamina so greatly. It's just when I saw that you did both, I just couldn't believe it. Not to mention, you also look at what I have. I have this. Look at what in your spare time, you do this collab with Mac. You're doing, you know what I mean? How did you, that was after the movie though, obviously, but how did you keep this Cruella creativity just going and going and going?
Well, they came to see me actually when we were prepping, and I had this huge like warehouse room full of mood boards just all the way around this room. And I remember people from Mac coming from kind of all over the world and walking around this room with me, and me saying, I want to do this and I want to add these colors and I want to do that, and sort of having the ideas of what it was. And I had this idea for a palette that it would be magnetic and that you could pull it apart, and what you could choose who you want to be. You can be Estella or you can be Cruella. So depending on how brave you're feeling, you can choose what side of your personality you're going to be, like the black or the white side. So I very much had that in mind, and this kind of, and using as much as the black and white in the, but I mean, I have to give a shout out to my makeup assistant, Guy Common. He worked with me on the makeup looks as well, and he has a Mac background, so his product knowledge as well. I'd kind of go, I'm kind of wanted to be like this, and then he would say, oh, I know what you need. And so it was an amazing collaborative thing to come up with this kind of, and then the Mac thing just, that was crazy when that happened.
That's amazing. And they did the stores, they decorated the stores with your work. How was this feeling? How when you saw your work on stores, on billboards, how were you feeling?
Well, it was absolutely surreal. Guy and I went up there. He used to work at that store. And I used to go into that store when I was at college, and I don't know if they still do it, but you can hand in old lipsticks or
they still do, back to Mac. Yeah,
and you get a product back, and that was how I built my kit up. So I constantly saved these things, or someone would give me their old ones, and I would go in and choose my lipstick, and that would go into my kit. And so it was a big part of being, and being stood in those stores and wondering if you're ever going to make it, and wondering if it's ever going to happen. To walk around the corner. You walk around the corner from Liberty of London, where we filmed lots of Cruella. And as we came around the corner, just the work was all over the front of Mac, and Guy and I just stood in the doorway, and like, yeah, it was surreal.
Did
it was
you
amazing.
cry? Did you cry?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
And I called my mum and was like,
Oh,
my work's all over.
of
Carnaby
course.
Street. It was
Incredible.
It was a really incredible moment. Yeah.
What are some of the key elements of changing Estella to Cruella? What were like the must-dos?
I think it was the fact that I've kind of used this sentence a lot, but she was using makeup as a disguise. So she's using makeup she needs to hide herself from the Baroness. Mm-hmm. So because I'd done a film about drag before, I'd been very much immersed in that drag world. And I kept thinking of that moment in RuPaul's Drag Race when they take all their makeup off and they suddenly look completely different. And you're like, wow, you can do that with just makeup. Yeah. So it was about creating a mask, if you like, over the top of her face. So it needed to be, and that's why lots of the looks are very kind of across the eyes, almost in a mask style when you first see them. So when you first see her with the feathers and the jewels, or the stencil, or the garbage truck dress look, that's all across the eyes as well. So, and even when you very first see Cruella as her kind of standard Cruella look, it's much whiter and the eyes are much darker. So it's kind of mask-like. It's almost like she's covering herself. When she first walks in to see the boys in the kitchen. You
used white for the standard Cruella. Okay.
Yeah, and then when it gets right to the very end, when she takes over Hell Hall, then it's her skin color. She's arrived, she's not hiding herself anymore, so I don't need to put this mask on anymore, so it's much more of a beauty makeup. So it really was about telling a story with makeup. It was very important to do that.
Absolutely. The garbage truck is my favorite. I just I was just watching it again, and right before I was when I was getting ready this morning, and I rewound the garbage truck again and again and again. I feel so lucky that I saw it in the theater. You know, it was my first movie back.
Oh wow!
And we all got our tickets like 2 weeks in advance. I remember we were so excited, and seeing that on the big screen, there was nothing like that. That was incredible. So that was inspired by John Galliano. Yeah. The garbage truck. And then the one where she has the airbrush, the mask that you're talking about with features, that's Vivienne Westwood.
That just came from, I don't know if there were so many references I had from the beginning.
I'm sure.
But I had lots of punk images and lots of the girls and Susie Sue and lots of those punk bands, and was all very heavy around the eyes. And then it was purely because it said in the script the next day that the Baroness reads the paper, and on the paper it says, "Is Cruella the future?" So then I thought, how can I be literal with that?
Wow.
And I thought, I'm going to write the future on her face. And it's in the same font as the Sex Pistols album, which was on my wall. And that came out in 1977, and the film set in 1977. So it was just like, I was just immersed in that world. I was reading things set in 1977. I was listening to music set then. I think kind of by osmosis, it all just goes in, and suddenly I was driving home.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to write that on her face.
We need to make this a term. You are a method makeup artist. Like you are like that's beautiful. How incredible is that? And that's why the authenticity reads so well, and everything is believable because you're living and breathing it all. I mean, these ideas are totally innovative.
Yeah, it's just funny when you talk about it afterwards, because you don't really know at the moment. You don't remember that unique moment. It's just, I do think the research is always my favorite bit. I love it so much, and I really, really deep dive into it, whatever period I'm doing. And that's why I don't do a lot of contemporary stuff, because I feel like I don't know what I can change or give, or and I'm really, I'm really into film, and I'm really into music. So there's all those references come in, and why people were doing that at the time, and what was happening socially, and so everything, and all the looks even those big looks, say the garbage dress look, it's jewels. So there's different color jewels on her face, and then 2 different eyeshadows and a lipstick. So I wanted everything to be very minimal because I wanted to prove that she could get hold of these products.
Yes, of course.
She could get them,
Of course.
So I was even thinking about, if she was doing that makeup, where would she buy it? What would she use? And so, yeah.
I loved it. I mean, that was incredible. And speaking of music, look at all my toys here, Nadia. This is hilarious. Look at, I have a tape. Of the music and your ultimate smoky eye. Like, this is it. And so I get this tape in the mail. It just comes. I don't know, like some marketing list must think I'm a crazy Cruella fan, because I am. And I get this tape from Disney. And then what did I ask for Christmas? A cassette player, because I didn't have one. So my husband and I have been playing this tape.
I love that. It's such a good soundtrack, isn't it?
Okay. Which brings me to my question. Did the music were these choices first, or did you have them on in the room when you were creating, or was it just the vibe and then the soundtrack came later?
So I pretty much only listened to stuff around that time, or
77.
Yes, or stuff that was, I listened to a lot of glam rock as well, because I was thinking about Artie and who he was. And
yes,
it was kind of a gender fluid. Lots of Bowie, lots of T-Rex, sorry. And so, yeah, and when we were on set, Craig played music all the time.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, and he got his guys to cut the scenes really quickly while we were on set and put a track over it. So even if it didn't end up being the track that was used, it was something similar. Sometimes it was the track. And he would go, come over and listen. So I knew that you'd be in an 18th century ball, but they might put a track by the Animals on or something. So I knew I was in the right world, because I knew that ultimately what we were going to hear would be that kind of that music. Yeah.
Right. What was your biggest challenge? Because I feel like you were led by some other, by the universe, and, I very much believe in that stuff. But, were you ever at a Waterloo? Did you ever get blocked ever once?
The wigs, the black and white wigs were a challenge that I never saw coming.
Really?
When you and I've got the most incredible hairdressers that work with me, and they could not figure it out either. I think something happens when you look at a black and white wig, and when you dress a wig, that the texture of the black is different to the white, that your eye gets thrown out when you dress it, because the roller reacts differently in the black side to the white side.
That's crazy.
I never thought that would, of all the things that I thought would be a huge challenge, it wasn't that. And so sometimes I would say exactly what I wanted, and we'd do it, and then I go, no, it's just not working. It's not working. So we couldn't. That was really, really hard. And sourcing the hair to make those wigs was really hard.
How did you do that? How did you get it?
With the wig makers that made it for us had to find it, but to find hair exactly that color, that white, is really, really hard. And because I didn't want it to be, it's not jet black and it's not white. It's very, very brown, and it's kind of off white. It's the white that your hair would go naturally if it went white. So it's that, because I thought otherwise you might as well buy a joke shop black and white wig.
I know, that's the problem. I know. Yeah. We shouldn't be able to replicate it for Halloween. We should not be able to.
I love it though. I love seeing everybody's.
I mean, tell me about that. Because I've interviewed V Neal about the Beetlejuice costumes and stuff.
Oh wow.
It's just so amazing how 30 years later, 30 years later, our kids are going to be like, I want to be Cruella from, what year was it? 2021, isn't that amazing?
It is, honestly, of all the things that came from it, and just getting through just getting a job like that and being able to be that creative, you kind of, you have I hadn't got any experience of that kind of thing, that kind of franchise before. I'm come from an indie film background, so there's nothing of that size. Even something like The Favorite it feels more like an indie film than it does, the franchises. So I didn't know what was coming. And then when it was released, it just went crazy. And I don't think a day's gone by that I haven't had someone send me a picture on Instagram of themselves in one of the makeups, or inspired, or a story, or there was a little girl in Ireland, and her mum messaged me just before Christmas, and she said she is so obsessed, and I just wonder if I could get an autograph. And I was like, oh, Emma's? And she, no, yours. And I was like, mine? And and I said, oh, I've got a bag that I made that I had for the makeup team. It's got an image on the front and it says Hair Makeup Team, and I've got a spare one if she wants one. So I sent it to her at Christmas, and she sent me a video of her opening it on Christmas Day, and she was just screaming. And it was just things like that. So incredible.
My gosh, all the joy that you're bringing to people.
Yeah,
have you seen the TikTok of the little boy? And he's like, his aunt does the Cruella makeup on him. Yeah. Oh my gosh. My best friend sent me that, and he was like, I'm crying right now. And I could not stop watching it. It was like, I love it. His life's changed by your artistry. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
We all know Cruella 2 is coming. Are you scared? Do you say, how am I going to top this? Are you excited?
No. I want it to start now. I'm so up for it. I emailed Craig yesterday straight away, or he messaged me as soon as the nominations came out, and I just said, thank you so much for letting me go so crazy, and he was like, let's do it again next year. So I just can't wait. And I don't know anything yet, but I hope, because we were set in 77 and obviously it goes afterwards, I'm really hoping it's 80s, because
I will honestly, I'll be in the hospital if it's 80s.
I don't know what I'm going to do with myself if it's 80s.
What tape is going to come to I won't leave the house. I'm
going to be in leg warmers for months and a perm.
I also, no pun intended, The Favorite was my favorite movie of 2018, and I probably of a long time, like top 10 for sure. I was obsessed with The Favorite. It was amazing. And I must ask you about the Badger makeup, because I have you in front of me. It was amazing. I have replicated it many times. And can you just share with me Olivia Colman's Badger makeup from The Favorite and how it came to be?
It was in the script, obviously, that Rachel Weisz's character says to her, you look like a badger. And I was planning everything and getting, prepping for everything. And I just kept sort of skipping over it, because I thought, I don't know what that is. So I'll have to come back to that, because I don't really know what that is. And I don't know how I'm meant to make her look like a badger. I didn't really know. And it came from the one of the rooms when there's one of the ball scenes where she's wheeled in a wheelchair, and all the courtiers are in there, and the floor is black and white. And Sandy Powell, who did the amazing costumes, she had a black and white theme within the courtiers' clothes, and so we did black and white within the wigs. And then I wanted to replicate the lines in the floor, so the courtiers had these kind of bands of black across their eyes. Their makeup was in bands of black. So I just felt like the Queen had seen that in the courts. She'd seen that was doing it. So thought, I'm going to try and do it, but badly and naively, because there's something really childish about her, and kind of, get stuff wrong. And so I just felt like it would be done really crudely and badly. So I was done with fingers really very quickly. In fact, it was one of the first questions. When you win at BAFTA, you go backstage and then you're straight into press. And I went straight into the press, and we're like, first question, can you talk to us about the Badger makeup? And how long did it take? And I said, probably about 10 minutes. And then I said, oh, don't take this away from me, because it was a big deal. It's like, I don't want to downplay what we did.
Away from me. Oh, I love it. I mean, I love hearing you talk about the true artistry of all this and the storytelling through makeup, because it's so important and it's so hard to do. And it's just wonderful to hear you talking about it. And I love talking to you.
Well, I just always, I've never really, I don't know how I ever end up in makeup and hair. I was going
to ask you, do you have time to tell me your little origin story? Like just a little,
yeah.
not your little, I didn't mean to belittle your origin story. I mean, do you have a little time to tell me your origin story?
I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was always very kind of artistic. And as I was saying, I was massively into film and music, and I feel like my music taste, I was born in the wrong era. You know, it's very kind of decades behind. But
and you were born where?
I was born in 1977.
But where?
Oh, I was born just outside of London, so about towards Oxfordshire. But we moved around a lot, and my family were all into music, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't have that kind of growing up where it was kind of one school. I went to lots of different schools because we moved around, and I just didn't know. I left school, and then I didn't think that working in art-based jobs would ever give me any money. And how do you do that? So I sort of did every job imaginable, and obviously lost interest all the time because it wasn't really what I wanted to do. And then found out about this course, and you had to get on this course by presenting some work, and all the girls that went all presented this incredible makeup. And when I saw them, they were all beautiful and beautifully made up, and their hair all done. And I looked like this, like probably in a band t-shirt and like not much makeup. And I thought, oh no, I'm on the wrong course. But I'd found a picture by the photographer, Cindy Sherman, and she'd done, it's like a series of Polaroids. And the first one, she's got no makeup on, and then it goes all the way through till the last picture. She's made up almost like a kind of performance artist. So I did a replica of that on my friend and got on the course. And when I look back at that, and that being the thing that got me on the course, I know that I've always been and will always be the kind of makeup artist that I am, that I definitely see myself as a storyteller and part of the storytelling process rather than making someone look pretty. I've never done a wedding makeup in my life. I wouldn't do my friend's red carpet stuff. Right. I'm like, no, I'm not interested. I want to tell stories with hair and makeup. That's where my passion is.
Right.
So and then I got into theatre, worked in theatre to learn wigs.
The wigs. Okay.
Yeah, doing wigs in theatre, worked at the Royal Opera House and the ballet, and then started to work myself into TV and film, and met some amazing people who kind of mentored me and brought me up through the ranks. And then I looked after someone, actor Paddy Considine, and he messaged me afterwards and said, hey, do you want to come and do my film? And I thought, oh, it's with who's designing it, who would be my boss? And he was like, no, you could be the head of this.
And that was the break.
Yeah, he saw something in me that I don't know how long that would have taken for other people to see that. And he saw that in me and gave me the break, and it changed everything. And that's where I met Olivia Colman on that, and we all became friends. And and that was the first design job I did. And I feel like that really shaped kind of my career and where I went after that. So yeah.
What an incredible time to spend with Olivia Colman. I mean, my God.
She's awesome. She is.
Oh my God. Do you have any advice for newbies that are like, sometimes a lot of new makeup artists are listening and they want to know how they can begin, like, because it's so hard to get into the union, and how can they, if they want to be in film and TV, how can they start?
I mean, I think it's probably easier than it was when I was coming up, because we didn't have social media. So to contact a designer, to contact a head of department, it was quite hard. How do you kind of find them or get to them? But now, you can literally DM someone and that might work. And it has worked. My trainee that we have on the film at the moment, that's exactly what happened. She watched Cruella, followed me on Instagram, sent me amazing messages until I kind of said, hey, come out and let's test you out. And she's amazing, and she's with us now. And so that path does work. And I'm very open to that as well. I'm kind of very like, hey, I'm try to answer everybody. I think it's about getting as much experience as you can. Obviously, get you know, however you go about your training, whether you do, I think hairdressing is a really great, if you're working in the UK, to get really good at makeup and at hair, to be a good all-rounder.
Yeah. All-rounder. All-round. Is that the term? An all-rounder.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. And then I think just getting as much experience as possible, because it's about networking and who's doing it. And often other designers will ring me and say, hey, I need an artist, and I've got someone great with me at the moment. And that's how you start to kind of get into the industry. And once you're in, it's much smaller than it feels kind of impenetrable at the beginning, but once you're in, it's not. And then I just feel like you've got to want it. You've really got to want it.
That's the key. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You've got to work really hard. And when that nomination came out yesterday, it's incredible. And I'm so lucky, but I haven't stopped since I got that first break. I've worked really, really hard. And I think I never was not going to. So if you want to go, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to go on holiday, you might have missed your break.
Yeah.
You have to you got to be in it to win it.
Yeah. Speaking of win it, just putting it out there. Yeah. Okay. Well, I promised Marilyn that I would only take up a small part of your time, because I know you are doing so much right now. Are you working on a movie right now too? On top of all of this campaigning? And
I'm doing Snow White for Disney. So we're just in prep at the moment.
Oh my God. That's
yes.
amazing. Who's directing Snow White?
Mark Webb.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh so my gosh.
And he's another kind of, he's not, I think he's slightly, not a curveball choice, but he's slightly kind of in the same kind of vein as Craig, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like tiptoeing around the edge there, and like hopefully on the other side of it. Yeah.
Exactly. I can see that. There's a twinkle there, I can see. So
a twinkle. Yes.
And I'm with mate Sandy Powell, who's doing costumes again, who we worked together on The Favourite. So it's really great. It's really, wow. So I'm doing that, and then we start shooting the day after the BAFTAs. So it's going to be a very busy time.
What date are the BAFTAs? The BAFTAs are before the Oscars always, right? Yeah,
BAFTAs is the 13th of March, and then Oscars 27th.
Oh my gosh, you've got quite a schedule coming up.
Absolutely. It's going to be a very busy time, but hey, I'll sleep afterwards. It's fine. I just want to enjoy every bit of it. It's amazing. So
you deserve it all.
Yeah, I'm really
well deserved.
All the other guys in the category, I think, are so deserving of it too. And it's been lovely. Everyone's messaging each other and saying, can't wait to see you, and raise a glass. And so it's really lovely. It feels really good.
Oh, I love to hear that, because it's really a great group. And of course you're part of it. It's just, I'm so well deserved. And I look so forward to all that you have coming out. And I'm going to play with all my toys now after we talk.
I love you about that. Amazing.
Nadia, thank you so much for talking to me. I really appreciate it. I know how busy you are.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's lovely to talk to you.
Look Behind the Look is a Vinyl Foot production, written by me, your host, Tiffany Bartok, produced by Jace Bartok, edited by Nicole Tucker, with art design by Kelly Riley. If you're interested in learning more, find our video version on the YouTube channel Look Behind the Look podcast. There you can see rare photos and clips from our guests. And please follow us on Twitter at LookBehindPod and Instagram at LookBehindTheLook. If you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe. And tell your friends and spread the word. You can subscribe to us on iTunes or any podcatcher of your choice. Thanks for listening to Look Behind the Look.